so fresh, looking so fresh. When I walk by, breaking their necks. Waiting in line at the team store. Now I'm feeling fly like a condor. Eyes on me when I walk through the door. Man, I wish I bought a couple more. Cause I really love my city. It was worth every penny. If it were at my show, then I know they gon' tip me. Think I might add a couple patches. If you think it's ugly, you capping. Now my whole outfit matching. Never going out of fashion.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome, episode 654, Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you here, October 27th, 2024. Happy Sunday to everybody. A catcher's season review. We got Higgy, we got Campy, we got Elías Díaz, and let's get right into it. Thank you all for watching or listening to this. If you missed my pitchers season review, rotation, and bullpen, I've already done that. You can check those out. And then I will be doing the other. I'll do infield probably together. I'll probably do outfield together. And today is catchers. So starting off with Kyle Higashioka. What a good, great story it was in 2024. 1.6 F4, 84 games. I thought he played more than that, and the average isn't going to stand out, 220. But what really stood out was the power, the 17 home runs. And he was the Padres' best option overall, which when you look back at it, not super surprising. I was hoping that Campy was going to take a step forward in 2024. Obviously, there was injury, and this wasn't able to take place with Campy. And I'm not just blaming it only on the injury. I mean, he didn't take the step forward when he was on the field. And I'll get to him here in a second. But to acquire Higgy as part of that deal, obviously Michael King, Drew Thorpe, those were the two headliners coming back for the Padres. But I always thought, Higgy, that's a solid catching option to have. That's a win to get Higgy back in a deal. I get it. It's Juan Soto, but the Padres were going to trade Juan Soto. It was going to happen if the Padres wanted to build more of a complete team for 2024 and beyond, and that's what they did. They got Michael King, who knows what we'll get from Vasquez and from Brito, Thorpe. That helped them go get Dylan Cease, and Higgy is someone that could be a Padre for not just 1 year, but could be a Padre for 3 years or maybe longer, but probably 3. They want a bridge to get to Ethan Salas, right? So that's what this is going to be coming up here if we look into the future on what's next for these Padres. But just Higgy overall, I mean, talk about a fan favorite. And it's someone that he has a personality. Like, it seems like he has the dry humor, but it's not something that is like displayed while he's playing baseball. He is someone that is just, do my job, play baseball, help the team win. He's not going to get like super excited in post-game interviews or anything. He's just going to talk the way that he talks and move on throughout his day. And I respect that. Not everyone has like this huge personality while playing baseball like Fernando does, for example. Or I think we see it with someone like Jackson Merrill a little bit. That's just, Higgy, he'll get pumped up, but like, that's just not who he is. I like how he's, down to business. And so Campy goes on the IL June 22nd. Higgy, since that point in the regular season, hit 12 home runs, 35 ribbies, 795 OPS, 289 on base. And he's 34, so that's probably going to affect, what he gets in free agency. But without Higgy, where would this Padres team have been? They would have been relying upon, let's say they had Higgy, but it wasn't him performing like this. You wouldn't have gotten offense from the bottom of that order with the catching situation. Brett Sullivan and Kyle Higashioka. And then you bring in Elías Díaz late in the year, and he didn't get a lot of playing time. I'm not saying like he got all these opportunities, but there was nothing special there that stood out, right? I mean, because it was limited, but there just wasn't really impact there. So that was big. And obviously his postseason performance was big too, because he then hit 3 after hitting 17 homers in the regular season. He then goes and hits 3 homers in the postseason. And I'm looking up his postseason game logs here to refresh what he did. So in the division series, yeah, there was a couple of 0-4s there. Game 3, Game 4, he did get one hit, and that was one of like 2 Padres hits in that game in Game 5. But I knew going into the postseason, Higgy was going to be catching every day. This was going to be like a Austin Nola 2022 type situation where Higgy was going to give you more offensively, but we knew who was catching every day. And it seemed like the pitchers trusted him. It seemed like pretty much everyone enjoyed having Higgy as the catcher for the Padres. And so when it comes to should we bring Higgy back or try to bring him back, yeah, of course we should try to bring him back. Because with Luis Campusano, as much as we want him to be like planted as the starting catcher till Ethan Salas comes, and then you could have a strong catching duo of Salas and Campy, or you could have Campy go play first, or you could have Campy DH. He could still be a valuable bat, you know? As much as we would like that, he hasn't proven that consistently at the big league level. There's been injuries as well, to be fair to him, but we can't just take injuries out of it. That's part of it. You know, you want that reliable catcher. And I'm not saying Higgy played 160 games, but like he was pretty darn reliable. And I don't believe he went on the IL. And he's a vet that is, you know, a lot of years in the game, a lot of years, minors, majors. And it seems like things are working with that pitching staff as Higgy as the main catcher. So, yes, I would bring him back. And partly because this is not like JT Realmuto that we're talking about who would get paid, right? Higgy, he will get paid, but I'm looking at the contracts from last year from catchers, free agent catchers. Mitch Garver was almost 34, and he got 2 years, $12 million a year. So 24 mil. But he and Higgy are different. I don't think Higgy's going to get $24 million. I don't think he's going to get $12 million a year. There was a track record there with Mitch Garver. And I was looking at his numbers before coming on here. All the way back in 2019, he had the track record of hitting over 30 home runs. Like those are different profiles there. I would compare it more to like Victor Caratini. Caratini got $6 million a year. He got 2 years, 12. So he got half of the Garver contract. Maybe that's what Higgy gets, but then Caratini, 31 years old, I believe, at the time of that deal. Where Higgy is 34. And I just wonder what the market is going to be for him. How many teams are going to give him the starting role? It's kind of, I compare it to Jurickson Profar a little bit, where Higgy feels like he fits this Padres team for where they're at right now with their catching situation. Profar, same thing in left field, fits this Padres team. I wonder how many other teams would give them that role that they have with the Padres. So that could be an advantage for the Padres. We shall see. But just overall for Higgy, I mean, he loved using the Western Metal Supply building, right? Those pull homers. There were countless balls that would have been homers if he would have waited a little bit, getting out in front and just smashing the ball foul down left field line into the crowd. So it seems like he enjoys hitting there at Petco Park. Maybe opposing pitchers will end up adjusting, but for a franchise that has not had power hitting catchers, and I'm not suggesting like Higgy is JT Realmuto or even Mitch Garver or some of the other, he's not Will Smith, right? I know I don't like Will Smith, but Will Smith is a good catcher, one of the better in the league. He's not that, but he's an upgrade from Austin Nola. He's an upgrade from someone like Austin Hedges, and he's a reliable catcher that Luis Campusano sadly has not proven to be at this point. So, yes, I would be sign me up to bring back Kyle Higashioka. It seems like he wants to be here. He did write a post, I think, on Instagram thanking fans for 2024 and talking about how his future is uncertain, unknown, but he did enjoy playing for the Padres in 2024. I know he was Jackson Merrill's seatmate on the bus because he's a rookie, so he wanted to make sure the rookie had to double up on the bus, which is just two people in the same row sitting next to another. When it seems like most major leaguers, it's just them, and they get 2 seats on one row on the bus because there's 2 buses, I think, that go to the airport. So that was pretty funny. Michael King seems to love him. I love the Higgy chants in the postseason. That was pretty darn cool. And that's what's cool about baseball, right? Is these unsung, not unsung, because they're definitely sung during the postseason, but guys that you wouldn't expect, right? Are Dodger fans, did they expect Tommy Edman to be the NLCS MVP and then, hit a homer last night in game two? No, right? All the attention is on Shohei Ohtani. All the attention is on Mookie, who wasn't doing anything at the beginning of that division series. Uh, the attention on the big guys, and I understand that, but you're not expecting Higgy to hit 3 home runs in the postseason, or Tommy Edman to do what he was doing, or Lane Thomas for the Guardians, for example. I believe he had a big home run. I'm trying to think of some other guys, but that's part of what makes the baseball postseason special is you don't know who is going to come through, and they could end up being a hero in that city for the rest of their lives, right? So Higgy, I don't think he reached hero status because the Padres, they didn't make it out of the division series, but I'm just saying it was a cool moment there to see those Higgy chants. Negatives, he hit under 200 against lefties and with runners in scoring position, but he was never someone that was expected to be like this high average guy. Go look at his track record. That's not who he is. He's one of those that's 8, 9 in the batting order. But when you give him a chance to play, 17 homers, that's pretty cool. So good job from Higgy this year. Elias Díaz, again, I don't have a ton to really even talk about with him because it was such a limited sample size with the Padres. Yeah, he was the Rockies and him parted ways. The Rockies parted ways with him, like Profar in 23. So that shows how much of a struggle it was. A lot of blue on that Baseball Savant page. But when we got him, look at Baseball Savant for the catching. Pop time was good, framing, caught stealing above average. That stuff was all right, this is an upgrade defensively over someone like Campy, and that's fine. Let's roll with it. And that's what the Padres did. I thought it was a solid backup option to have. That's really the positive. Seemed like a good clubhouse guy. That's really the positive that I can say because we just didn't see really much of him. 21 at-bats, 4 hits to finish out the regular season. If the Padres want to bring him in on a minor league deal and he's willing to play for El Paso and be an injury insurance guy, if Campy gets hurt or let's say they bring Higgy back or whoever they bring in, I'd be willing to do that and have him and Brett Sullivan share time in El Paso. But if he's gone, it's not like I'm going to, be pissed off about it. I don't really feel one way or the other really about Elias Díaz. I just want there to be insurance there at the catching position. And he was a good backup option to have. Now, Campy is someone that we got to get to here. 220 average, 263 on base, 84 games, 105 weighted runs created plus. I was hoping to see that be higher this year after coming off of 2023. We were hoping to see steps forward from Campy. He had a 78 OPS plus this year. And in 2023, yeah, it was only 49 games, but his OPS was 847. And this year, 642. 131 OPS plus in 2023, 78 OPS plus in 2024. 319 average in 23, 227 average here this year. It's just the numbers in, 30 plus more games, whatever the difference is there between the amount of games he played this year, which was way more than last year. He only hit 1 more home run. I just want to see more pop there. And then defensively, I'm not super encouraged by what I see from him defensively. You look at the Baseball Savant, it's pretty much all blue. There is no red. And I'm not a catching expert, obviously, and it's easy for me to say, just as a fan watching these games and not being behind the plate. But it seems like he could be less lazy behind the plate. And someone from the Padres would probably be like, what are you talking about? You have no idea what you're talking about. And I would say, okay, fine. But as a fan, all I can talk to is me as a fan. It looks like he could be trying harder behind the plate. or maybe not trying, but be more locked in behind the plate. And I don't think I'm the only Padre fan that thinks that. And so it can be frustrating to watch sometimes. Because I'm not saying that we were expecting Campy to be Ethan Salas, or, I don't think he had the hype that Ethan Salas will have when he comes up. But we were like, hey, maybe this guy can have pop, and this guy could be an anchor behind the plate for the Padres, and we finally could have a consistent starting catcher and not be recycling catchers. And yes, there's been injuries, and we haven't been able to see that consistency. I don't know if it's because I think he made an adjustment offensively to begin the year with his stance. It's just, I wonder what the Padres are going to do, because what if there's another team out there that really likes Higgy and they have more money to spend and they're like, yeah, we want a reliable catcher, and so we'll bring Higgy in? Because like, if Higgy isn't here, where do they pivot? And if you ask the Padres, would they say that they want Luis Campusano as the number one guy on their depth chart, catching wise, going into next year? They probably would say no. AJ Preller in public would say we have confidence and we think that there's more there from Campy, but inside those offices, you think they want Campy as the starting everyday catcher when you're trying to go win a World Series? I'm not so sure that they do. I don't think that they do. And I don't think that they should. And I think Campy should use that as motivation and be like, all right, people are doubting me. People don't want me as the number one catcher. All right, I have something to go prove. I sure hope so. I'm a fan of all these guys. I'm a Padres fan. That's why I'm frustrated by this. Is like, I was expecting more than what Campy provided. I want him to play in more game. I want him to get more time. He ended up being obviously in the minors to end that year with Elías Díaz coming up because of how he was playing. And Elías Díaz clearly was the better option to have as a backup catcher. And right now, 1 second here, I'm going to look up Campy here on MLB.com. Scroll down. Yeah, it was the thumb. So I was just going through his injury history here in my mind. 2023, he had left thumb sprain. And then he was on the 60-day at one point. There was the ankle sprain at the end of last year. Then this year, left thumb contusion in June. And then he didn't return until July. Then he gets optioned in September down to El Paso. So, yes, injuries cut into his time. But he's had, remember in 2021? Or was it 2022? Where I was like, can we get Campy more at bats here? Because there was that time where he was being called up for like a week, and then he wasn't playing consistently, and they'd send him down. It was like, let's give him at bats. Let's give him the shot here, And now he has gotten that shot. He's gotten more at bats, right? If you go to his stats here year by year and look at the number of at bats, 2022 got 2021, 34 at bats, 48 at bats in 22. 2023, 163 at bats. This year, 277 at bats. So this year, more at bats than last year, larger sample size, and he went down. 21 and 22, I wasn't even looking at those numbers because he just wasn't having a lot of at bats. But now that he's playing, in a third of a season, more than a third of a season, more than half a season in terms of games played. All right, this is a sample size now. And what are you doing? An OPS under 650, we're going to go with the better defensive guy. We're going to go with the more reliable catcher, the veteran catcher, and that was Kyle Higashioka. So if there's a veteran catcher there next year, they're going to go with that guy, I assume, over Luis Campusano until Campy can prove that he should be the one getting more games, more reps, more at-bats. So where the catching situation stands, it's let's bring Higgy back. I'm looking at the free agents for this next offseason, and I'm not, blown away by these guys that are free agents. James McCann, Danny Jansen, Austin Hedges, Yasmani Grandal, and then Higgy, who his previous AAV obviously was less than 3 mil, less than 2.2 mil. Yes, he's going to get a raise, but is he going to get 6 times that? I don't think so. I could see him getting 2 years, 10 mil, get 5 mil a year, more than double your salary. If the Padres present him that, maybe they give him 2 with an option, and he could end up being the veteran behind Ethan Salas and be a good vet for Salas. Maybe that's what we see there. I'm not blown away by really any catchers, and so I would like to go with the guy that seemed to like being in San Diego, the guy that had success here for the Padres, and you just roll with that. So that's what I've got here. Catcher season review. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Shout out to the partners of the show, Gaglione Bros, famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries. Main location is on Friars Road. Check them out. They're inside Snapdragon Stadium as well. Breaking Tea, Padres and Aztecs shirts and sweatshirts. Link in the description. All the links in the description. Underdog will give you a 50% deposit match up to $1,000. Code Talking Friars. And they will give you a special pick as well. Obviously, good time for sports, obviously, with the World Series and college football and NFL and NBA. College basketball is going to start. Soccer. There's a lot of stuff going on. And same code, Talking Friars, for SeatGeek, $20 off your first order there when you sign up. Thank you for the time, and we'll get back to season reviews probably, today's Sunday, so later this week. I hope you enjoyed this brief catchers season review. Also, quick news, I saw Jesse Rogers said that A.J. Ellis is no longer in the White Sox managerial running. He is a front office assistant, I believe, for the Padres, so I was not expecting to talk about A.J. Ellis today, but there you go. That was an update. It mentioned the Padres, someone with the Padres, so I did at least want to mention that. A.J. Ellis, interesting. There's some good Padres coaches on the staff. We'll see. It's October 27th. I mean, that reminds me that Ruben Niebla, his contract's up at the end of this month, I believe. No contract done yet. And once October is done, I believe teams can go talk to him, anyone, because he would be a free agent.